I think I will just probably in terms of like the biography of Shantideva and then the background sort of informations about the Bodhicharya Avatara, I hope that you will do your homework on your own time. For today, I think I will just dive into the wisdom chapter of the Bodhicharya Avatara. The first two lines, I don't know whether you have the text with you. The first two lines in Tibetan says, "Yala dida tamsheni tobe shirap tendo songs," which, if loosely translated, means that these branches are taught by the Buddha for the sake of wisdom. And this is an important statement that the Shantideva is making here in the very beginning of the wisdom chapter. So all these branches are taught by the Buddha for the sake of wisdom. So naturally, you may question, what are these branches? Usually, generally in Buddhism, and particularly in Mahayana, in the Mahayana Sutras and Shastras, the importance of having both the skillful means and the wisdom on the path is strongly emphasized. And these two, the skillful means and the wisdom, when you actually put into practice, you don't practice them separately. On the path, when you put the skillful means and the wisdom into practice, you have to practice them inseparably. The essence of the wisdom is the skillful means, and the essence of the skillful means is the wisdom. And there is no hierarchy. There is no two separate things. In fact, the word that we use is the union of skillful means and the wisdom. But at this point, for someone like myself, it's impossible to forget about the practice, but to even understand the union of skillful means and the wisdom. And the main reason is that because we get caught into either the skillful means or the wisdom, so to speak, wisdom. Because on their own also, they are quite appealing, attractive, and with all the fully equipped ignorance and ego and emotions, it's easy to get caught and trapped into either of them. For example, generosity is quite attractive, and you will get lots of praises. And not because of the generosity, but if the ego is involved, ignorance is involved, and all the emotions coming out of the ignorance and ego is involved, then naturally you will get caught and carried away by the generosity. And same is the case with discipline. It is very attractive and praiseworthy, sort of an object, I guess. And anyway, probably we'll talk about these maybe later. Anyway, it's difficult to put the skillful means and the wisdom in the practice, in the manner of union at this point for someone like myself. So when we actually try to study about the skillful means and the wisdom, we have no choice. Though they are supposed to be in union in the practice, we have no choice but to look at them separately, to at least be able to understand the nature of the skillful means, the practice of the skillful means, and the wisdom. And that's what Shantideva does in this text. He looks into these two separately, and in the earlier chapters, Shantideva talks quite extensively about the relative aspect of the Bodhisattva and the practices such as generosity, discipline, patience, diligence, and dhyana or meditation. So, the skillful means, when you look at the skillful means and the wisdom separately, the skillful means are what is being referred here in this first line as branches. And actually, you cannot put the skillful means into certain number. You cannot constrain them in certain number. Skillful means is infinite. As long as you have thoughts, as long as many thoughts as you have, as many emotions as you have, equally there will be like skillful means. So the skillful means in actuality is infinite. So is the yanas. But here, when we have to, to be able to understand and how do you say, to make it easy for us to put the skillful means into practice, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have categorized them into, particularly the skillful mean aspect, as into the 5 paramitas, which are the generosity, discipline, and so on and so forth. Now, these branches are taught by the Buddha for the sake of wisdom. It has a lot of meaning, behind this important statement. Of course, when you look at the, when you talk from the point of view of union of skillful means and the wisdom, as I said earlier, there is no hierarchy. You cannot choose one as, better than the other one. But if you separate them to study the skillful means and the wisdom, and then ask which one is more important, then Shantideva clearly in these 2 lines is saying that wisdom is more important. From these 2, the skillful means and the wisdom is the foremost important on the path. You can understand that through the usage of the words also, like he used the word branches for the skillful means and for the sake or for the purpose. That shows the importance of the wisdom. And the reason for wisdom to be most important on the path is because wisdom is considered as the main primary cause of the omniscience or the enlightenment. Therefore, on the path, wisdom is the most important aspect on the path to enlightenment. And in many different Mahayana sutras, Buddha has repeatedly pointed this out. And in Prajnaparamita Sutra, Buddha has given many different examples to point this out. One of the examples is that in the middle part of India, there is a large river called the river Ganga. And the Buddha says that all the other rivers, the small streams and the small rivers, they unite with the river Ganga, they join the river Ganga, and by doing so, they are able to reach the ocean. Similarly, Buddha says that all the skillful means are like those small streams and small rivers. If not united with the wisdom, if not united with the, the example given is the Ganga, then they may run to a certain extent, but after some time, those small streams, the skillful means, will reach their limitation and become stagnant, or may even like dry out. But when the skillful means is in union with the wisdom, then all the skillful means, they have the strength and force to result into the omniscience. And similarly, he has given many examples. And one of the examples, another one is like he says that, Buddha says that all the skillful means are like the blind people. And the wisdom is like the person with fully functioning eyesight. The person with the fully functioning eyesight can lead all the blind people to the destination where they want to reach. Similarly, wisdom has if together, if united with the wisdom, all the skillful means, they also have the strength and force to reach to the goal, which is the omniscience, the enlightenment. So what we can understand from these examples is that, and the meanings of these examples is that without the wisdom, generosity is not going to give you the enlightenment. And without the wisdom, discipline is not going to give you the enlightenment. Without the wisdom, patience is not going to give you the enlightenment. Without the wisdom, diligence is not going to give you the enlightenment. And most importantly, for us to understand is without the wisdom, meditation is not going to give you the enlightenment. So therefore, wisdom is the foremost important on the path, because wisdom is the primary, direct cause of the omniscience. And the reason why the wisdom is the main cause of the omniscience is because the wisdom is like the sword which can cut through the obscurations. There are two kinds of obscurations we talk in Mahayana: the afflictive emotional obscuration and the cognitive obscurations. Maybe we'll go into them some other time. Maybe here, for the sake of communication, for us to understand, we can just say ignorance or just obscuration. And to obtain the complete enlightenment, you have to cut through the obscurations, because obscurations is like the wheel that is obscuring you to actually see the things as they are. And generosity on its own cannot cut through the obscuration. And you can, add on, discipline cannot, diligence cannot, and so on and so forth like that. And meditation cannot either without the wisdom. So therefore, the wisdom is the foremost important. And Shantideva says that all the branches, the skillful means, such as generosity and so on, are taught by the Buddha for the sake of wisdom. And if these skillful means, such as generosity and so on, if they are not in union with the wisdom, actually you cannot call them a paramita as well, because paramita or paramita means gone beyond. With just as the examples given in the personal paramita, without the wisdom, generosity can't go beyond. Discipline can't go beyond. Without the wisdom, meditation cannot go beyond. Now, if the wisdom is the foremost important and is the primary cause, the direct cause of the omniscience, then you may ask, why do we need skillful means? What is the purpose of having all the generosity, discipline, and so on and so forth? Just have the wisdom, and that should be enough. But without the skillful means, you cannot either have wisdom. Forget about from a point of view of practice. Forget about the practice. Just to be able to kind of have some sort of an understanding of the ultimate truth, you need skillful means. The ultimate truth is said to be beyond words, thoughts, and expression. To understand that, that ultimate truth, you need to use the tools and equipments that are available in the conventional truth, such as language, such as logic, such as reasoning, examples, and so on and so forth. You have to depend on this. These are also skillful means. If you use the language and reasoning and logic and so on and so forth correctly, then they all also become skillful means to make you to make you understand the ultimate truth. So even to study the ultimate truth, and the realization of the ultimate truth is what we are calling the wisdom, right? So you have to rely on the conventional tools and equipments. There is no other way. And when it comes to the practice, the best way to really get familiar with the ultimate truth and eventually to realize the ultimate truth is through meditation. And meditation is a skillful means. So therefore, in order to cultivate the wisdom, there is no other way than to depend and rely on the skillful means. Without the skillful means, there is no practice. So now you see the importance of the skillful means also. Yes, the wisdom is the foremost important on the path because it's the primary cause of the enlightenment. But in order to cultivate the wisdom, you need to rely on the conventional tools and equipments, which are the skillful means. And also to be able to, handle the ultimate truth, to be able to realize the ultimate truth, you need merit. And there are many methods to accumulate merit. And one of the best methods to accumulate merit is through generosity. And also to handle the ultimate truth, to be able to study the ultimate truth, and eventually to realize the ultimate truth, you need a favorable conditions, the favorable state of being, the precious human life. And the main cause that results into this favorable state of being is discipline. And there are many benefits of the discipline, because discipline is always referred as the ground where all the positive enlightened qualities are, can be cultivated. And to maintain and continue the accumulation of merit and the discipline, you need patience. And as we discussed just earlier, to realize the ultimate truth, you need to rely on the best skillful means available to us, which is the meditation. And all of this without the diligence, it's impossible to kind of continue and grow and so on and so forth. Therefore, you have to rely on skillful means. There is no other way. As I said earlier, without this skillful means, there is no practice. The ultimate truth is beyond words and thoughts and all of this. How are you going to, familiarize yourself with that reality? So therefore, all these branches of the doctrine, the enlightened sage expounded for the sake of wisdom. The wisdom is the foremost important, but you need the skillful means at the same time. Just as let's say if you want a rice and you want to plant the rice, you need the rice seed. But just having the rice seed is not enough. You need fertilizers, you need moisture, heat, and so on and so forth. Generosity and so on and so forth, all the skillful means, without the wisdom, then they just become a cause of samsaric result. Maybe you will experience a good, higher realms. You'll be born into the higher realms, experience all the happiness and luxury and so on and so forth. But still, they are just the samsaric results. Without the wisdom, they are on their own are not able to go beyond. Therefore, they must cultivate this wisdom who wish to have an end of suffering. So here, in the next two lines, Shantideva is saying to alleviate, to pacify, to eliminate the sufferings, not only of oneself, but of all sentient beings. Shantideva is saying to cultivate the wisdom. Padamba Sangye is a great Indian scholar, and he said that the realization of the ultimate truth and the birth of genuine compassion, they occur simultaneously. And not only even in the sutras, such as the Arya Dharmasangiti Sutra, Papa Chö Yangdaba Dubendo, Buddha said, Yangdaba Yangdaba Jitawa Shinto, Tongwar Giro, Yangdaba Jitawa Shinto, Tongwe, Chanchu Sempa, Semchen Namla, Ingje Chenpo Jugos. So, Buddha is saying that through the realization of the ultimate truth, the Bodhisattva then simultaneously will possess the great compassion. And the main reason for that, the occurrence of the realization of the ultimate truth and the birth of the genuine compassion simultaneously, is that because the essence of the emptiness is compassion. And here we are not talking about a sort of a dualistic, touchy-feely kind of compassion, but the compassion that is the source of all the compassions, as well as you can say that the compassion that is the source of everything, and that is the essence of the emptiness. So therefore, as you understand more and more the emptiness, the compassion will just grow. And when you realize the emptiness, the birth of genuine compassion takes, birth in your mind stream. Many of you may have heard that, when the Buddha taught the ultimate teachings on the emptiness, the ultimate truth, at many different locations, such as Vulture Peak of the Rajagriha, it is said that many Sharvakas vomited blood. But we have listened to the ultimate truth for many years. And in my case, probably over 20 years, I've been hearing about the emptiness and the ultimate truth. I didn't vomit blood. There could be only two reasons. Either I am the perfect vessel of such teachings, or I haven't understood the emptiness. In most probably it's neither of both. Neither I am a perfect vessel, nor I have understood the emptiness. That must be the real case here. But if I have understood and realized the emptiness, then simultaneously I should have compassion to all sentient beings. Not only sentient beings, you can hear from the point of view of essence of emptiness being compassion. You'll have compassion that is not limited by boundary and so on and so forth. Compassion that embraces the whole phenomena, that is not based on thinking and feeling and so on and so forth. But I don't have that either. The situation, the real situation here is that I haven't understood the emptiness. And here I'm trying to explain the wisdom chapter. But anyway, the wish to alleviate and eliminate the sufferings of all sentient beings. Not only that, but actually being equipped with all the means to alleviate and eliminate the suffering of all sentient beings come from the compassion. And as Buddha said in the Arya Dharmasankiti Sutra, and as Padambasankhya said, the compassion, the genuine compassion, the Mahakaruna, takes birth in one's mind stream when one has the wisdom. So therefore, here Shantideva is, supplicating his students and the followers of the Buddha to cultivate the wisdom. Okay, anyway, I think we'll take a break, maybe 20 minutes break, and then, we'll continue. Relative and ultimate, these, the two truths are declared to be. In the first verse of the 9th chapter, the wisdom chapter, you can see that, Shantideva is creating an atmosphere of curiosity and interest by telling the importance of the wisdom. And from the second verse onward, Shantideva straight away dives into the detail of the wisdom. And when we talk about the wisdom, we have to talk about the two truths, which are the relative truth and the ultimate truth. We cannot talk about the wisdom without talking about these two truths. The relative truth is a reality of the ordinary beings with the deluded perception. Ordinary beings like myself, we perceive the outer and inner worlds, through our sense consciousnesses, such as eye consciousness, air consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and mind consciousness. And through the eye consciousness, we perceive the form, shape, color, and so on and so forth. And with the air consciousness, the sound, the tongue consciousness, the taste, nose consciousness, the smell, and body consciousness, the texture, temperature, and so on and so forth. And through the mind consciousness, we perceive everything that is going on in our mind, thoughts, emotions, feelings, and so on and so forth. And the ordinary beings like myself, when we perceive these outer and inner worlds, naturally we believe them to be truly existing. It's a natural sort of our being that we don't even have to think. It's almost like your name, You don't have to think about it. As things appear, you take it as truly existing. You don't even doubt about that. That's the reality of the ordinary beings. And also understandably, because the whole phenomena is weaved so perfectly, so precisely in the matrix of cause and effect, that it's really difficult to question and try to see things beyond, all the appearances. Of course, there are certain cause and effect which are not clearly visible to ordinary beings, like the karmic cause and effect. But other than that, if you want to quench your thirst, then you grab a glass of water and you drink it and you quench your thirst. It works. It functions. And there may be wishes, lots of wishes, and then another set of wishes after wishes, and you try to, the ordinary beings, they try to fulfill the wishes through the cause and effects that are there in the relative world. They don't wish anything beyond that. And whether the ordinary beings are believing them to be truly existing or not, it functions. And it kind of like some wishes may not get fulfilled and get hurt and so on and so forth, but things like, quenching the thirst, it works by grabbing a glass of water and drinking it. And of course, the ignorance is also there, as I just earlier said, that we naturally think. Even we don't even have to make an effort to think that things that they appear are truly existing. That's ignorance. That's part of our being from the beginningless time. And that's the reality of the ordinary beings with the deluded perceptions. The ultimate truth is the reality of the sublime beings or yogis. For example, let's say that you are dreaming, right? And in dreams, everything appears, form, sound, and maybe you are going through certain situations, creating lots of emotions, and you can feel it. And the dreamer, in the dream, though everything is not truly existing, naturally think that, oh, these are real. And that sort of belief, the dream is real, is what makes you trapped and caught into the dream. Then, whatever situation it is, if the dream is a nightmare, you will feel pain and hurt and fear and so on and so forth. If the dream is a good dream, you will experience a sort of a happy, positive emotions and feelings and so on and so forth like that. So the ordinary beings, as things appear, we naturally believe them to be truly existing. We don't even have a second thought. Maybe things are not as they appear. We don't think like that. We think they are truly existing. They are real as they appear. And just like the dream, it is not how things appear that kind of traps you and catches you, but actually your belief, your misconception, your mistaken view, that puts you into the trap of how things appear. And what happens is that you get caught into the appearance, how things appear, by truly believing that they are real, and therefore creating lots of emotions, and therefore creating lots of karma, and it goes on and on. The sublime beings, they see things as they are. They see beyond how things appear. Just like, the sublime being is like, you are dreaming and you know that it's just a dream. What happens is you don't get caught and trapped in the dream. And therefore, sublime beings, because they have realized that things as they truly are, and not having the misbelief that things are truly existing as they appear, they are free from all the traps. They are free from all the emotions. They are free from all the karma. So here, as you can see, there are two different types of viewpoints we are talking about. The viewpoint of the ordinary beings and the viewpoint of the sublime beings, yogis. The ordinary beings, as I said, they believe things to be truly existing as they appear, and the sublime beings, they see the things as they are. In our case, such as myself, what happened is that how things appear and how things truly are have split apart. And therefore, because how things appear and how things truly are have split apart because of our ignorance, because of our clinging, dualistic perception, and so on and so forth, we are caught in the appearance aspect. The sublime beings, because they have understood, they see the things as they truly are, the things as they are. Therefore, how things appear and how things truly are in, I don't know whether the word balance is correct or not here, but are in balance. The more accurate, I think, term here would be they are in union. How things appear and how things truly are in union. They are always in union, but because of our ignorance, we have split that apart and caught into the appearance, whereas the sublime beings, because they have understood and realized the things as they are, they come to the natural sort of ground of the phenomena. In Heart Sutra, Avalokiteshvara, through the blessing of Buddha, as many of you may know, says, form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. Form is not other than emptiness, and emptiness is not other than form. And you can apply that to sound also. Sound is emptiness, emptiness is sound. Sound is not other than emptiness, emptiness is not other than sound. And you can apply that to your emotions also. Emotion is emptiness, emptiness is emotion. Emotion is not other than emptiness, emptiness is not other than emotion. Essentially, what Avalokiteshvara here, through the blessing of the Buddha, is saying is that how things appear and how things truly are in union. Appearance is emptiness. Emptiness is appearance. And when we talk about this union, obviously they are not two separate things. We are talking from the ultimate truth point of view, not from the how ordinary beings, perceive. We are talking from the ultimate truth point of view. They are union. So they are not two separate things. And the appearance and emptiness, or how things appear and how things truly are, they are not one also. Because one is also just a concept. And without a reference of 2, 3, and so on and so forth, and also 0, I guess, there will be no one. So therefore, one is just a concept. So what I'm trying to say here is union is beyond one and separate and so on and so forth. Similarly, existence is just a concept. And therefore, non-existence is also just a concept. And it can just go on and on. Basically, whatever comes in your concepts, are just extremes. The union is beyond extremes, free from extremes. Therefore, the union of how things appear and how things truly are is beyond concept, beyond belief, beyond views, and so on and so forth. The union is beyond all references. The union is beyond time and space and so on and so forth. So therefore, Shantideva says, the ultimate is not within the reach of intellect. What is that? Intellect. The ultimate is not within the reach of intellect. Why? Because for intellect is said to be the relative. Here in the text, the word used is intellect. But if you look into the Sanskrit, yes, the word is buddhi, which can be translated as intellect. And in Tibetan translation, the word used is lo, which can be also translated as an intellect. But lo can also simply mean mind. I noted down a Pragya Karagupta, he's a great Indian scholar. He wrote a very important commentary on the Bodhicharyavatara. In his commentary, he says, Lo ni shepa tamje inde, shepa tamje ge yule debechir, choyul mainde, yul maimbaos. Basically, if I essentialize what he's saying here, is that he's saying that intellect here should be simply understood as mind. So, what Shantideva is saying is the ultimate truth or the union of how things appear and how things truly are, is not within the reach of mind. Even simpler way to put this would be like, you cannot imagine ultimate truth. You cannot imagine the union because the mind, how mind works is through very dualistic sort of a way. Mind works, by splitting apart the subject and object. And whatever you imagine, whatever you try to think, there's always references. That's, you always have to rely on something like memories and so on and so forth. The mind cannot go beyond that. But the ultimate truth is free from, all the extremes, time, space, and so on and so forth. The mind is not equipped to, be equipped to actually fully, grasp the ultimate truth. Therefore, we say that Sosoran Yeshichuyu was the ultimate truth or the union, the Prajnaparamita, is realized. The word we use is through, by the individual intrinsic awareness. And the individual intrinsic awareness is devoid of dualistic perceptions. The individual intrinsic awareness is free from all the extremes, concepts, beliefs, views. Only that can realize or that can we have no, actually it's beyond realizing and not realizing, but we have no choice but to use these words. Only through the intrinsic awareness that which is you realize the ultimate truth. And when you think from that point of view, then it's technically, I mean, like, you cannot say that intrinsic awareness is mind, because the mind functions in a totally different way. the best you can say is, yes, your nature, that's intrinsic awareness. The individual intrinsic awareness is nature of your mind. But then that doesn't mean that it's mind, dualistic sort of the mind, that functioning mind. Basically, you cannot imagine the ultimate truth. And therefore, you cannot express the ultimate truth in words and sentences and so on and so forth. Because the Pragyakara Gupta says that because reason for that is because the language, reasoning, logic, and all of these are products of mind. They cannot express the ultimate truth. They have limitation. And therefore, as many of you know, that Prajnaparamita is known as Prajnaparamita is known to be beyond words, thoughts, and expression. In light of this, within the world, two kinds of people are observed: those with yogic insight and the common run of people. In this regard, the views of ordinary folk are undermined by yogis who themselves are in the world. So, in the third verse, what Shantideva is saying is the ultimate truth cannot be expressed. Ultimate truth cannot be put into words. And yet, the sublime beings, the yogis, will communicate to the ordinary beings. And why? Because of the great compassion that has taken birth in their, in their wisdom mind. And as in this verse, the Shantideva says, there are two types of people, right? The ordinary beings with their own viewpoint of believing that things are truly existing, and the sublime beings who see the things as they are. There are two types of people. When they communicate, particularly when it comes to establishing or proving their viewpoint, there could be a clash. But the communication there will be, because out of great compassion, the yogis, the sublime beings, will communicate. Otherwise, there is no way to tell the dreamers that it's just dream. You have to use whatever tools and equipments that are available in your dream. And ordinary conversations or communications, like if the yogi is thirsty, yogi will simply ask for a glass of water. The yogi will not go into the details of saying that I not truly existing, want not truly existing, glass not truly existing, water not truly existing. No, yogi will not communicate in that way. Yogi will simply say, the sublime being will simply say, I want a glass of water. And the yogi will get a glass of water and will quench the thirst, probably. So that is because yogi will not deny how things appear. More than that, actually, yogi, because they know the things as they truly are, they will appreciate how things appear. Therefore, the yogis will not deny the cause and effect of the relative world. But when it comes to the proving the viewpoints, then there will be a clash. Either way, if the ordinary beings are trying to prove that things are truly existing, of course, there will be a clash. And because of difficulty in accepting the truth, when the yogis try to prove that everything is like dream, illusion, not truly existing, yeah, there will be a sort of a clash. In this regard, the views of ordinary folk are undermined by yogis who themselves are in the world. So here, what Shantideva is saying that when the yogis and the two types of people, when they are communicating and trying to prove their viewpoint, the viewpoint of the ordinary beings cannot undermine the viewpoint of the sublime beings, but the viewpoint of the sublime beings, yogis, will undermine the viewpoints of the ordinary beings. Because let's say that you are in a dream, right? You are in a dream, and then you want to prove that this is real, truly existing. What evidence will you bring forward to prove that it's real? Whatever you put forward, yogi will say this is dream. In Sawasharab, Nagarjuna said, "Kompani ki tsechena kangshi lende majeba." I forgot. They tamche lendab mean drubar jadang tsungchiros. Basically, what Nagarjuna is saying is that whatever reasons that the ordinary beings put forward to prove their viewpoint, the sublime beings will prove the reason itself as not truly existing. So on and so forth like that. But the sublime beings, they can prove that things are not as how they appear. Basically, the union, they can prove by using the tools and equipments that are available and that are accepted by the ordinary beings. Tools and equipments such as language, examples, logic, reasoning, everything that are there in the conventional truth, yogis will use them to prove their point. Okay, that's it for today. And most probably the next teaching will be online. I think in terms of effort that we have to make, and also in terms of finance, also it makes more sense to do it online. And maybe since I'm thinking of trying to finish this in like maybe around 10 sessions, I'm not very sure, 10 or 12 sessions. So I will not go into much detail. I'll have to skim through most part and point out the important aspects of this chapter. Okay, that's it. Thank you.